What do you want people to come out of this film with? Some sense of... but we wish we had journalists like Edward R. Murrow around.
I think we always have,
we actually do. I mean, there's a lot of very smart and good people.
I do, too. I don't think we have anybody
go up every day against circumstances, not so much the way it was at that time, where their whole career was online, but in a sense of going up against things in which it's very dicey as to whether you have the facts right, and etc.
And also, you know, putting your life on the line. There's a lot of kids out there doing that, too. And I think there's some great journalism going on. I just don't think there's ever going to be someone who has that kind of power again. And,
as Murrow did.
And that might be a good thing, because if that power is concentrated in someone who simply is there just to support an administration or whatever, then that could maybe be bad.
I saw you last night.
Yeah.
As I in the country. You were on Jon Stewart last night.
Oh.
You know you did it. So what do you think of a program like that?
I love that program.
I do too. Everybody loves that program.
Right.
I mean, but that's entertainment. That's,
it is
that's
entertainment.
Comedy, but that's satire.
But satire's been a big part of our political education forever.
But worry that people think that's real news? Because sometimes, I mean, the point is so powerful, it's better than by the way he does it, than it is on other ways.
I would argue
in the same way
this.
that Maureen Dowd can take language and use it in a powerful way.
But she still doesn't get a White House press pass.
I know.
On the other side,
I don't think that's the worst thing ever happened to her.
No, she's probably happy about that. But I would say this: during the lead up to the war, and certainly in the beginnings of the war, you could argue that some of the best news was coming out of that comedy show. Sure. They were actually bringing up issues that weren't being talked about in other places. Yeah. I find that music, protest songs over the '60s, during the Depression, music has been oftentimes a great way to start a discussion. Comedy and satire has been a great way, certainly, to bring up issues like civil rights and women's rights movements. But
the point is, I agree with all that. But the point is that some say that
news.
Jon Stewart, that they think it's news. I mean, and you're right, it does. The dismemberment of what people have said, their own words, on that show, is as penetrating as anything. And Jon uses his own style to do it, and enhances the power of what these people say. But there are others who worry, well, I mean, why aren't they are they only getting their news from Jon?
Well, the problem is that's not Jon's fault. That's saying that there's a lack somewhere else of real information. I mean, we all do agree, and I think when the New York Times prints an apology for not asking enough tough questions about the lead-up of weapons of mass destruction.
Chalabi and all that.
Yeah, well, Chalabi, and that's the strangest one of them all when you think about it. That Judith Miller was the one who basically they were apologizing for the stories of, is also the one who ends up spending 85 days in jail. It's a very strange, sort of complex...
And I still don't know what happened. Do you?
I don't either. You didn't write the story.
Well, we're just still... I mean, Carl Rove was back before the jury, the grand jury today, I assume.
Today.
Trying to make a case for himself.
Today they said that they won't bring him back and that he won't be indicted, probably. So
who said that? Fitzgerald?
I think it might have been his lawyer.
Well, he probably wouldn't go out and say that unless he had some reason to say that.
Yeah.
So he's not a target, but...
Right.
Bill Oreilley.
Oh, yeah.
You know him.
Sure, I do.
You were on my show talking about him. He calls me up. I think I've got this about right. He says, I told Clooney, neutral ground, Charlie Rose.
Yeah. No, he's never said that. He's never, ever...
he said, I'll be with... he said to me, I'll... Bear with me on this, because, I mean, we tried to reach you about this. I'll do your show with George, and let us do it there. Now,
I've said
would
it
you
every
do that
time.
With him?
Anytime, anywhere. He has never said yes publicly.
So I can say...
Has he said yes to you publicly?
Well, I don't know, Jordan. You got me there. I don't know, but I mean, I'll find out.
Because
let me just figure it out, though. If he'll come to this table,
absolutely,
you'll be here,
and we will debate the issues that he brought up, that he started, which were the fraud of the 911 telephone, which he continues to say that he fixed, and continues to talk about the Red Cross, and I continue to say we're the United Way, Bill, but I'd be happy to debate all those issues.
On this show?
Anytime you want. And I've said it on a lot of shows and said...
Oh, you do it on all these other shows. You've said I'd do it on any show.
I've shown up everywhere.
Because he said to me, your show is the place to do this.
Sure.
And I'll do it. And he said, and
I would love it. That, to me, is a neutral crowd. What I won't do is go to the man who owns a microphone. Because as he shouldn't come if I had a show and do my show.
Yeah, because I asked him to come do somebody else, and he wouldn't want to do it. I guess it was Al Franken.
Right.
He would have nothing to do with that. He said.
Right. Well,
so we may have a show here. We may have a
sure.
He's got bigger problems. Meaning
he's got bigger problems now. You know.
Like what?
Well,
you're not talking about the whole little issues he ran into with.
I don't know. You know, all I can say is
you have
this.
private problems, because that's not.
Oh, well, here's my issue on that. I don't preach morality, obviously, but I would say this: if someone
wait, why do you say obviously?
because I'm who I am.
He was without saying cast the first time.
I'm a glass houses kind of guy. But I will say this: if someone had accused me of the things I was accused of, I certainly wouldn't have settled. I've been accused of things and have not settled.
The interesting thing about you, George, is also, I mean, Oreilley's one example. Also, this whole thing about hard copy when you thought that the invasion was too much, and so you went to Entertainment Tonight, same producer, I guess, Paramount, and said, we're not going to be available for your show if you allow hard copy.
But see, again, I didn't believe...
I mean, but a lot of people wouldn't have done that because they'd have feared whatever the consequences.
I'm not... listen, you know what? The truth is this. I've made a very good living, and I've done fine, and I've saved my money, and I'm not afraid of anybody. And that's
There's no
truth.
fear.
I just spent a year... spent physically the worst year of my life, and there isn't anything else. I'm not afraid of anything.
No. It is amazing. And if you don't have your health, then man,
yeah,
and that'll teach you about fear.
It takes away all of the other elements because you go, well, what's the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah.
I remember I was at one point. Bill Oreilley had done a show. He'd done a half-an-hour show about how my career was over because of my political views. I called my dad up. I said, am I in trouble here?
Is something I'm missing?
And my dad said, shut up. Are you crazy? Muhammad Ali went to the Supreme Court and almost went to jail for things he believed in, and you're worried about, making a little bit less money. Shut up. Grow up. Be a grown-up. Yeah. And he's right. And it's an interesting, once that happens, all fear sort of goes away.